Hello, my name is Rich Howard, owner of Architectural Builder Supply, and this video is to bring you a closer look at the Jo part number MLP-211-DU. This is a Duro-coated latch guard is what it is. A common, typical, ubiquitous type of latch guard that is going to be used in exterior doors that swing out. This sort of latch guard is very popular and effective because it captures the entire strike area, okay, really leaving nowhere where you can get to the strike with a pry bar to tamper with the latch bolt. This is manufactured of 12 gauge steel and is furnished with carriage bolts, washers, and acorn cap nuts for safety and strength. 3x11. Let's go over it. 12 gauge steel. The caliper says it's 0.11 inch. I don't remember the decimal equivalent of 12 gauge, but it's 0.11 inch thick, so almost 1/8 of an inch. I think that sounds about right. 3x11, let's take a look at that. The height, about 10 7/8, with an overall width, 3 inch. That's good. You can see that you've got an offset there, and that offset is really important because the door, a typical steel door, is going to be inset into the frame ever so slightly. So you can kind of gauge the fact that you're going to have about 1/8 of an inch, maybe just heavy on 1/8 of an inch of giddy up here, a little bit of offset here. Again, a steel door, if you were to stand on the pull side of the door and run your hand over the face of the door and the frame, you'd notice the door is moved in just a little bit, like 3/32 of an inch. That's the inset, that's typical. If you did not have an offset on your latch guard and your door was inset, you would never be able to get the door to actually latch. So that's why these are offset. Okay, does not provide an ability to get underneath there, even though there would be a small margin. The fact of the matter is it's there because otherwise the latch guard would never work at all. The area of the latch area itself is certainly going to accommodate your common steel door ASA strikes that are 4 7/8 tall. Okay. This is going to be a steel-based item, okay, and it will be powder-coated in this DU finish, or Duranodic, or dark brown. Will certainly be complementary to anything dark bronze, Duranodic, or something known as 313 finish, and certainly oil-rubbed as well. It's complementary to that. This will feature the carriage bolts and the acorn nuts. You've got the carriage bolt, you've got the acorn nut, and you've got the washer. It being a carriage bolt means that from the exterior, all you're going to be presented with is that round head, and the underside of a carriage bolt has the square profile to it that will fit into the square prep at the top and bottom of the unit. Okay. Now, a couple of items of note regarding this exact model. This does not feature any sort of anti-pull-up or spread pin. Some latch guards, and Jo has a full complement, will have a welded-on pin that is shaped like, if you think of the end of a pencil, except it's not so pointy, and about 3/8 of an inch diameter. You would see that welded here, so that when it closes, you have to drill a small hole in the face of the frame. The point of that is if you try to put a tool between the frame and the door and try to spread it apart, that anti-spread pin will prevent that. That's the point of that. Another thing of note is that this is straight down. There's no prep in it for a rose of a lock. So keep in mind that when you are going to install this, you're going to need to carefully consider, is this the proper unit for what you're applying it to? And to help you do that, let's look at the end of the latch guard on the door portion to where the offset's going to start. So you've got to imagine that the end of your door is going to be somewhere about the 1 inch mark or 1 1/8 mark. Well, no, actually no, closer to the 1 1/4 mark. So you've got to have an adequate room on the exterior of your door from the edge of the door where you're going to mount this, where you need to have the offset come over to where your trim is. Something like this is going to be appropriate for a escutcheon trim on a mortise lock. You'd also say escutcheon trim on a exit device, but really an exit device that would be a mortise lock style, I suppose. An exit device, typical Pullman latch, is on the interior of the door and really no need for a latch guard in the sense that you can't get to the latch guard. But what people will do in that scenario is they'll run, imagine if this was about 1.5 inch overall width or 2 inch overall width with an offset, they'll take these security astragals and screw them or weld them to the face of the door so there's a continuous cover between the edge of the door and the edge of the frame, and we can supply you with those as well. Now, there's a link below this video to a document called Template that will show you all of the dimensional properties of the latch guard beyond what I've already discussed. They say that the offset is 0.25 inch. I certainly don't disagree with that. I find it to be slightly smaller than that. Other finishes that it's referred to, BP for brass plated, DU for the dark bronze powder coat, and then an SL silver type finish. Now, we talked about options and what makes this somewhat unique and where you would use it. To help you to determine if this is the proper unit for your application, there's a link below this video to the product catalog where you can pull up all of the latch protectors from Donjo. And if you know the name Donjo, you probably know of them from their latch guard line. As you scroll through this, you can start to easily determine, by just looking at the visual representation of your units, what's the right one to use. The MLP 211 is on page 2G. It's the G section of their full line catalog. And the MLP 211 is a steel-based product, where if you wanted stainless steel, it'd be an MLP 111. You can then see that there are some variants of that, and namely you're going to have the ULP 111 and 211, where you're going to have a large notch that you can get around trim, or at least accommodate the fact that you've got some trim installed there. There are also versions of this that are going to be EBF versions, which will give you a sex bolt sort of scenario where you wouldn't have an acorn nut. You'll have a flattened sex bolt assembly like you would see on a door closer. If you through bolted a closer through a door via sex bolts, they can come with that arrangement of bolt package as well. And then as you go through the rest of it, I mentioned the anti-pick pin. That's going to be on the very next page. That's a PMLP dash, not anti-pick, anti-spread. That's a PMLP-211. And then a variety of other latch guards that are ever evolving. Certainly the most common is going to be your LP-207. You're going to see that all the time. You're going to see the CLP-106 quite often. The ALP-206, we sell those occasionally. And then all of the other specialty items are there. Some material intended for a center hung, deeply inset sort of unit is there, the OS LP-207. And then it just goes on and on with specialty material. Okay. Now, finally, there's a link below this video to the manufacturer's page where you can pull up not only all of the Donjo products that we sell, but a link to the manufacturer's website, as well as a link to the manufacturer's full-line product catalog. The full-line product catalog is a bit unwieldy because of the size. And like I said earlier, if you know Donjo, you probably know for latch guards, or their door-reinforcing U-shaped wraparound plates. But you can see from all of those sections above there that they have a comprehensive offering of additional materials that are quite fulfilling of trim and auxiliary as a top-level category. I'm partial to Donjo, and it's because it's not fair to say that they have a petite footprint of what they do, because they have a great diversity of products. But their footprint is petite in the sense that you can quickly associate what they do with good quality products, with the product line itself, with excellent customer service, value, prompt, reliable shipping lead times. So Donjo really is deserving of consideration when it comes to the products that they sell, because they do it well. Unlike other companies that might try to do a much significantly greater amount of product line, Donjo refreshingly allows you to consider them and think of them in terms of focusing on a product, meaning kick plates. Let's say you're doing a hotel and you need 60 of them that are going to be 8x34, aluminum based with an anodized finish, gold finish on it. Donjo is nimble on their feet to be able to produce an order like that, because they're not trying to do lock sets, and they're not trying to do door closers, and they're not trying to do exit devices and electrified hardware. They're not trying to account for every possible consideration of a finish on something. Petite product line allows a nimble nature for them. And then also, if there's, and there is, in all frankness, on the rare occasion when there is a mistake, they make it good immediately. They take care of any sort of problem that does arise. They're exceptional when it comes to making it good. Period. End of sentence. So if you have need for an occasional, if you have more than an occasional need for trim and auxiliary hardware, give Don Joe a look before you make a significant or any decision regarding a purchase. In fact, if you have any questions on the MLP-211 DU outswinging latch protector or any other Don Joe product, please feel free to reach out to us. And thank you.